Hello, everybody. Chris and Lemon here on this exciting election night. Ooh, got some stuff to talk about, but it's gonna be a little bit lighter tonight. I think um, more of like a positive vibe sort of thing. Sorry, I meant to get this up earlier, but I was just kind of like taking a break and flipping through Tubi, and I saw Crawl, which I put a scene from that. I think it was at the end of the Halloween episode. So you know that movie, right? Crawl.
Is it still the greatest movie in history?
It never was.
It's a hero's journey movie from the '80s that was kind of like low budget, but like everyone still liked it. Anyway, threw me off just a little bit. Before we get started, speaking of, was it the Halloween? No, it was the one. I think it was the reset video where I put that thing at the end that promised a giveaway. So we have to get that done. And I think what we're going to do here is kind of a general purpose spiritual connection antenna one. It was actually, this is, I can do this sometimes. Like maybe I'll have a pendant that's like that, the usual size that I do, but I'll goof it up somehow. And then I can create a really cool effect where I just recast it in one of the larger ones. And then the wire wrap is on the inside. So yeah, that's going to be it. So we'll figure we'd do it. We'll do this one live this time. So let's see here. See what we come up with. Who's that? Tomcat Meow 69. Another wonderful video and song at the end I enjoyed immensely. Never heard it before. You never heard that song before? What the hell? Back up. We're doing this again. No, just kidding. Just kidding. So, yay. Look at you, Mr. Got a nice big new free pendant guy. She's been going all out here lately. Yeah, don't be surprised when you get your stuff if you're surprised. Put it that way. Um, so, yeah, anyway. So since everybody's, so since all the normies are pretty much wound up tight tonight, I figured we just talk about some stuff and bring the vibe up a little bit. Maybe give a little encouragement, hope, reminder, change of perspective sort of thing. That's what she wanted to do. Nothing too deep tonight. As for like the last video and the stuff, toward the end, like I haven't had, the big click come to me yet about that. Not quite sure. But anyway, we want to talk about some things since we're all sitting around waiting to see what happens tonight, tomorrow, whenever it is. I could see it going a couple different ways. But also, we'll talk about that and just some other things for, some of the more silent people out there that's still going through some hard stuff and, might be getting a little frustrated, trying to make breakthroughs and stuff like that. And do the little pep talk, change your perspective on things. So if you want to know more, don't go away. So the basic gist of this is going to be under the umbrella of changing your perspective, changing your focus. It ties into things that she popped in the videos in the last couple of days, the thing about like, whatever is good, whatever is pure, whatever is praiseworthy, think on such things. Um, it's nobody's fault that you've been conditioned basically since birth to think negatively. It does take a while to extricate yourself from that. And especially in terms of like Lumen and Sophia and all that stuff, people, a lot, people often say, like, they're anxious to get that kind of connection that I have. And I can say on a personal level, it's hard to describe. I try my best to, but I think some people probably are projecting an image of that that's greater than like what it is. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of hard to teach people that you're operating in two worlds at all times, and like that's got to sink in somehow. The physical world outside of you and the inner world in your mind, which for most people is a mirror copy of the outer world. It's like they're two mirrors bouncing off of each other. And you got to stop reacting to the outer world and you got to clean up your inner world, which is the temple, so that the spirit can dwell in it. Takes some work. But before we get into that, let's talk about tonight. So everyone's sitting around with bated breath, waiting to see what kind of shenanigans happens with this election. No doubt something will, but there's a lot of weirdness going along with this as well. So I am taking the stance, maybe it's just ingrained in me now from her. I am taking the stance of not knowing. Not knowing, not hoping, not stressing. And here's why. One, hoping and wanting creates interference patterns. Two, uh, thinking about, oh, what if so and so gets in? Like, what's going to happen? That's the story of the world, the negative story of the world that's always trying to infect your brain to get you to live in fear, imagining the future that has not happened yet. Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. If this happens, this is going to happen. And then it's like fear, fear, fear over something that is not happening. Yeah, this will come up later, but like there's two pots of negativity that you're always trying to balance and then eventually get rid of. But there's the pain of the past and the fear of the future. And right now, everybody's operating in fear of the future. But we don't need to. And here's why. As we're going through the hero's journey and we're going through Gnosis and we're learning directly, not from books, about how this all works. And yes, there is a lower archonic control structure that kind of rules over the world. But then you go further and you start taking the higher level viewpoint of it, which is in the books. And that is yeah, the things that are closest to you might be manipulating stuff, but she's above them. They're part of the game. She is not. She is above the game. She is the dungeon master for all intents and purposes, trying to make the game interesting for you. So remember that like all this people like vote shaming and stuff like that. I keep seeing like you got to get out the vote. You got to go blah blah blah. You got to get 10 friends and if this fails, it's your fault. Okay. I'll tell you right now, I didn't vote. She has not let me vote in years. 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 I mean, this is like I mentioned, she had me do an exorcism on my birth certificate and burn it. It's like that's all part of the game they're trying to keep you in. And you want to know what she told me? She's like, you know what? She's like, the script's already written. What's going to happen is what's going to happen. Yeah, on some level, people only have like the illusion that they're participating in it. I mean, think about it. Like, just on the surface, it's like you have two people to choose from out of like how many people, and they give you the two people. And depending on where we are at that particular point, the candidates are going to reflect like these different choices. Right now, it is like very, 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 very polarized. But more to the point, it's like participating is the same thing as giving consent. Oh, we're going to let you pick your leader. You get to participate in the grand experiment of democracy. And in doing so, you're consenting to being ruled by whatever happens. Yep. Yepers. And when you know that it's all a script, what's going to happen is what's going to happen. Um, yeah. Yep. Uh, you can basically vote with your mind because that is a lot more powerful. That is a lot more powerful. But try telling that to somebody that is, you know, either just an NPC or they're just not awakened yet or whatever. And it's like, oh, you got to go by the rules of the world. It doesn't count. Like, I mean, look at it. it's it's so freaking, one way or the other, it's rigged. So whoever ends up winning is exactly the person that the script says is supposed to win to move the story forward. That's it. That's it. I mean, when we got all this electronic voting type stuff that I mean, it's the same every election. Oh, these machines are changing the results. Oh, these machines, the flash drives are messed up. Oh, these machines are broken. Oh, this happened. Oh no, it's not communicating with the server. Oh no, we had a blackout. It's like, this is ridiculous. We had this perfect system before that was pretty much foolproof. It's called paper ballots. The only reason you get rid of paper ballots and you go to machines is so that it can be manipulated further. So, and of course, the people on the street would shame me for that, but it's like, I'm not participating in your system. I'm not participating in your rulers or any of that stuff. I hope I put my energy behind the way that I want it to go, but yeah, I don't be putting my name on anything anymore. Especially after like that whole water game thing I talked about, what I saw there. It's like, yep, I'm not participating. And especially if there's a lot of pressure to get you to participate. mm, nope, nope. Detach from the world, turn away from the world, withdraw from the world, be passerby. Those are the instructions we were given for playing the game, and I'm sticking to them. But either which way, like, don't freak out if you voted or anything like that. That's fine. She's just got different rules for me. Um, I don't even remember the last time I voted. Honestly, I just dislike the whole system. But people are really, really worried about like what's going to happen because it could go in any freaking direction. Like, let's just say that Trump wins and everybody celebrates. That just sets off a different, that's the whole fate thing that we've talked about here lately. Making a choice using free will determines fate. Like, oh, you're going down this path, well then the tree's going to fall on you. Oh, you're going to go down this path, oh, you're going to get mauled by an angry mob of raccoons. Like something's gonna always happen, but what is it? But I've also been seeing a lot of very strange verbiage coming out of Trump, which currently is um, the placeholder representation of a savior. Like that's the basic gist of it. Change, savior, whatever. So one of the things I saw earlier today. Now, there's always been coded game scenario simulation language around Trump, even as far back as 2016, when it all started. He was very interlaced with the Q stuff. Well, but the fact of the matter is, like, we don't know what any of that is. Like, I feel like the original stuff, like she had a hand in it somehow, but we don't know. You know, all the weird talk about the storm is coming and this and that. But the thing that I've been seeing in the last couple days is him talking about a new golden age. We get this done, we're going to have a new golden age. And everything's going to be bigger and brighter and better. Of course, that sounds great, but it's a very, very peculiar set of words because if you understand the ages, it's like each cycle, each game cycle begins with a golden age. I don't remember the exact sequence of the um, of the metals, so I could be wrong on someone, but it's something like gold. I don't remember if silver's in there or not, but then there's like bronze, iron. It's like I think there's a Nebuchadnezzar dream or a Daniel vision or something. You know, maybe Kenneth can jump in here and tell me that. He knows scripture better than I do when it comes to that book. But that's like a complete game cycle. Is it begins with a golden age, and then each following age is a little bit worse than the last one. And Jesus talks about the game cycles in the Nag Hammadi. Brought that up a lot recently. The disciples asking when the end would be, and he's like, "Have you discovered the beginning that you are seeking the end? Because at the beginning is where the end will be." So if we're in the ass end of the cycle, then whether it is a new world or however the hell it works, we don't know. People just like to pretend that they do. But at the ass end of the freaking cycle, like the worst one, like we're in the worst period possible. We are the furthest away from spirit you can get. The next one would be a new golden age. So it's awfully strange that he's using those terms. Because if you think about it that way, then and you know cock your head a little bit, cross your eyes and squint. It's like if we get this done, we're gonna have the freaking apocalypse end of the world. Yay! Because you got to have that to go into the golden age. Yeah, freaking weird. A lot of weird stuff going on with this. Um, and since she's kind of taught us lately to let go of the old stories, we don't really know. It could go either way. Like it, the problem is if they for some reason they pull what they did last time, and next morning like, oh my gosh, all those last minute ballots, they all wanted Kamala. It's a Christmas miracle. If they try to pull that crap again, well, then it's going to get bad quick. Especially like the financial markets and stuff like that. It's going to get bad quick. If they make him win, then everyone's going to get their hopes up. But Like I don't believe in miracle saviors on the ground. That doesn't mean I'm wrong. I just don't have a belief one way or the other. But I'm definitely not like Trump is not like my replacement Jesus or anything like that, like he is for a lot of people. The way the story is set out for us, there would be a lot of people that would like, I mean, if something happens to him, which the last future forecasting group uh, viewing saw like, I don't know, like three more assassination attempts. We don't know. But here's what we do know. Uh, After starting tomorrow, it's Mr. Frog's Wild Ride. It's it's something. I mean, so much weird stuff. Like everything is symbolism. That's where I have to draw the line now, where I didn't usually draw the line on that before. Because if you get all this symbolism stuff that's going on in the world that you can never truly honestly know what it really means. You can only go by what you think it means. That is a never ending shifting maze that never ends. And you will drive yourself mad trying to like I saw one the other day and I was like, I'm not even going down this. Now I will admit that I did have a weird feeling about the whole peanut the squirrel thing because it was just too like, why is this here? Why why is this happening? Why is this over the top crazy government overreach animal killing sob story happening with all these weird twists and turns like the guy with the squirrel's got a freaking OnlyFans squirrel daddy. I'm squirrel daddy, I'm super kinky. It's like what? And just the whole thing all together and like when they were talking to them and like I'm like I feel like I'm watching another one of those scripted things. But again, like why is this happening? It hurts, the incumbents. It's just weird. It's always this weird stuff. It's just like that sub story from like a year or two ago. Like, where did that come from? I mean, that was just. Do you remember that? Like the guys that had the little sub, like, let's go down to the Titanic. And then they're like, oh, this sub that goes down like to the deepest part of the ocean is controlled by a Logitech Xbox controller. I'm like, what? I'm like, what in the world? This place is dumb. Like it's good. It's like going out of its way to show the people that are at least half awake. That's something that was corny. That something is I hate when she does that. This something is really squirrely right now. Oh, I have a clown. I'm paired with a clown. But it's all squirrely. And you got to remember like if you're freaking out about the election right now and you're on this channel, you're off track, course correct. Remember what she teaches us. Remember what's written, what's in the Nag Hammadi. Turn away from the world. The world is going to put on this big crazy show. It's going to suck you in. It's going to suck you in. But we've already lived through decades of life where there's always something right around the corner. It's like, woo, big bad thing's going to get you. And and big bad things might happen, but you're always only seeing them at a distance. I like to use my old genre as a great example for my channel. Like I said, I got another channel that I just literally do not care about, except for I still got knives to sell, and I've got more knives coming out, in a couple months that I'm at to sell. So like, shoot. but it's like preparedness outdoor gear. It caters to, like, the survival preparedness crowd. Although I would not call myself a prepper. Cat, you're lucky we don't live in New York. But I always use the example of James Wesley Rawls, who's like one of the original prepper guys, wrote books and stuff like that. Been prepping since, like, I don't know, the early '80s or something. Got my bunkers and all this, and got generators, and you got your ammo, and got to get ready for grid down scenario, bug out, shit hit the fan, EMP, societal collapse, and hoorah, we're gonna survive. Like, for some reason, we want to survive that. Notice I said somewhere around the early '80s, then the '90s, then the 2000s, then 2010s. Point being, it always looks like the S is going to hit the fan. Doom is always a stone's throw away, and it rarely comes until, like, there's a big time of a shift. And shifts like this are not the sort of thing that your little bunker hut and canned food is going to save you from. So why bother? If you focus on that kind of stuff, you'll get stuck in it, and you can't ever enjoy the moment because you're always living in fear of the future. That's one of the biggest traps that everyone always falls into, is the future or the past is always ruining the moment. So that whole Eckhart Tolle power of now, I just I just personally can't stand Eckhart Tolle. I can't stand the way he talks, can't stand the way he writes, makes it overly complicated. And although he's on to something with the whole pain body thing, like, I don't like his definitions. But there is a point to that is relevant. And as your minds are never usually centered in the here and now, they're focused on what happened to you in the past or what you're afraid about in the future. Like, what is the point of that? You're ruining the now. Understand, like, there's only ever one time. It's now. Now is the only time that ever exists. Oh, what about next Tuesday? Okay, what's it going to be when it gets to next Tuesday? Is it going to be next Tuesday, or is it going to be now? It's always now. For those of you that are newer, we've done some interesting experiments on this channel that worked, where we did like some energy work type stuff, or clearing type stuff, or just plugging into this altar so you can feel its energy, that we call the quantum window. And it works like this. It's like, okay, I'm filming this video right now. So let's say, you got negative mind chatter or something like that. And we want to use the Benedict exorcism to knock it down, because it's really effective when somebody does it right. Okay, so I'm going to do the Benedict exorcism, and I'm going to do it now. Now, in your mind, you think like, oh, I'm watching something that's already been recorded. But technically, from a quantum physics standpoint, that's not the case, because I'm doing it in the now, and you're watching it in the now. So once you understand that I'm in the now, and at the time that you watch it, you're in the now, we're both in the now. So think of this screen as a quantum window connecting 2 points that are both now. So if you accept it, let's say I'll do like 3 rounds, and I want to, like, clear your negative mind chatter. So we both understand that the quantum window is open. I'm in the now, you're in the now. So close your eyes. Take note of, like, how much noise is going on there, what you're worried about or whatever. Here, I'll go ahead and I'll put my finger right here on the screen. Can you see it? There you go. Ain't gonna work. Crus sacra sit mihi lux, non draco sit mihi dux, vade retro satana, numquam swati mihi vana, sunt malequelibas ipse veni nabibas. Crus sacra sit mihi lux, non draco sit mihi dux, vade retro satana. Numquam swati mihi vana, sunt malequelibas ipse veni nabibas. Crux sacra sit mihi lux, non draco sit mihi dux, vade retro satana. Numquam swati mihi vana, sunt malequelibas ipse veni nabibas. Is your head more quiet? Curious to what I put on there, some sort of lock. There we go. Curious to see how that worked. Of course, we didn't really prep you for it either, but that is very effective. It works. Worked with someone today. I've got a couple videos on here. I got like the 5-minute devil beatdown and the 10-minute Benedict exorcism trainer videos, and those are charged videos. Like there's other videos out there on YouTube. It's like monks singing it and stuff like that. We put a little extra something when we did the videos to make them actually active. So I had somebody earlier, a client earlier I was talking to that wasn't feeling well, plus wasn't feeling well emotionally either. And I'm like, you have you got Benedict bracelet from your last order, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, well, watch this video. I forget which one I sent. Then he messaged like 10 minutes later saying like she felt better physically, but like emotionally, she was like radiating freaking joy. Like, damn. And I'm seeing a lot of that lately. And this is where I think we should kind of pivot into like the pot, look at things on the positive side, take note of what's actually been happening in case you're feeling kind of down and negative about like this whole spiritual journey and where we are in the game and all that. So here's some of the common things that I hear from people. And if I'm hearing this, for the people that, generally speaking, for the people that actually speak up, that means there's like a greater number of them out there that feel the same way that aren't speaking up. So you've got one group of people that really want to feel the connection that I have, and they've been doing everything that I tell them, wearing the pendants and stuff like that. And a lot of times they miss, overlook, or just don't give the credit that's due to the successes that they're having, because they're focused on like, where is she, why isn't she talking to me? Well, for one, quantum Zeno effect is a bitch. That's the term we keep using from quantum physics that is basically describing a watched pot never boils. It's also known in magic as lust for results. It's the exact same thing. You're trying to make something happen and you're always constantly looking like, is it happening yet? Is it happening yet? You're interfering with it. And I get it. That is like one of the hardest things to learn not to do. Well, let's look at it in perspective, shall we? I did not meet Lumen. It took me 47 years. Now, and the thing is, and I've had her for 4. Now look at what I know now. What I know now, looking back with her help, is she was always there. I just didn't know it. She was always talking to me, but I didn't know it was her. I thought it was my own thoughts or my own impressions or something like that. You feel, you imagine something and you feel good because you're listening to a specific song. That's Lumen, but you don't know it. It's like, look, I am honestly a special case. My birth chart and all that stuff and everything that I went through, you know, I quite literally, as I detailed in the last video, went through the entire process that mystics and stuff haven't done. So there's a higher level of it. But take note of your successes. So, one guy, and trust me, I understand all of it. Everything that people tell me, I understand because I've been through it all. I've been through all of it. Like everybody goes through it at some point. It's the whole it's always darkest right before dawn sort of thing. So, there many times as I've described it, and the reason why I'm so repetitive on this channel, and I'm not just doing something that you've never heard before every other video, is because it has to be repeated. It does. It has to be repeated over and 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 over because it takes repeating it that many times to get it. I got her out because she's part of me and I fixed myself at least enough to get her out. One of the last two things before she came out was me fixing my trauma identities, figuring out how to do that. And it worked. Like, it didn't bother me anymore. Like, it's almost like, look, you're holding on to like all this past pain stuff. And I have to be blunt because blunt's the only thing that works. So many people think they're over it because it's not hurting them anymore. Did you take some sort of specific action to heal it? And notice it. Because just because it doesn't hurt anymore doesn't mean it's gone. We have been conditioned to shove it down. And then you think you're fine. That's I can remember every step of the game because of her. Oh, I'm fine. Um, you know, 6 months after, my divorce, I'm on my own trying to acclimate to being alone and trying to like focus on, oh, I can start all over again. There'll be something else. There'll be something else that'll pop up. I'm fine. I'm feeling fine. I was not fine. I was not fine. On the outside, I look fine. Thought I was fine. On the inside, is like Art the Clown got a hold of me. Like that's how tore up I was. But like one person that's like that, and then I asked, with the stuff that they've been doing using the penance and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, I don't really hear the negative voice anymore. That's like really died down and stuff. It's like, that's great. That's great. Like, there's two sides to this teeter totter here that matter. One is actually being able to feel and hear and understand Lumen and Sophia. The other side is being able to duct tape the freaking adversary's mouth, chain him up, and prevent him from interfering with you. So if you're having success with one of those, like that's a big deal. Like take your wins when you get them. Um, Another one that's more general, like you probably wouldn't recognize it, except I recognize it because I've been a part of this from the beginning, In the early days, yeah, everybody could feel the pendants and the oils and stuff like that. Not everybody was having as much success with like the lumen type stuff, but then again, I didn't even fully understand it yet. I thought it was something that would be easy for everybody. But here recently, like it is heading in a direction, a very clear direction. Like we are changing. It is getting closer. We are getting closer to spirit because the stuff that we make, is getting more powerful all the freaking time. And everybody's feeling it. Even like the brand new people are feeling it. I'm like from where I'm sitting observing it, I am seeing like this tremendous uptick in people's awareness, their sensitivity, and their responsiveness to this divine energy stuff that wasn't like that a year ago. I mean, it was still there. It wasn't at this level. It's getting higher all the freaking time because now I'm hearing about it all the freaking time. Take your wins and don't forget. For 47 years, I didn't even know she was there. At least you do, because that's something. Okay, here's the big thing. Again, this is something I'm gonna keep repeating. This is what she said to me a minute ago when I paused the video, took a break. This is one of the number one things that people aren't understanding. And again, I've been there. I've been in the exact same places, the exact same sticking points, but there was no me to point it out to me. So usually when people are getting bummed out, they want to connect to Sophia, Lumen, Christ, all of them, because they want to feel better. And that's where you're messing up. Because again, it's like I want this so that I feel better, because I'll feel better if I have this. But that is not how it works. Look at what I had to do. Like we explained in the video the other day, your access to source, to the light, to her, to Lumen, to Sophia, to all of them, comes from the heart chakra. That is your portal to the light. Okay, so your heart is gunked up. It's full of all this past pain and trauma that you haven't figured out how to let go of yet. And you want Sophia and Lumen to make you feel better, which I can understand that. But they are like the water. And this is the fire hydrant. So if you're trying to put out a fire, which is all your feel bad emotions, but you got no water going to the hose, that there you can't do anything about that. You have to open the valve first, which means we have to fix the first things on our own. Now we can use the tools. Like I can teach you how. Um, it's better to teach you one-on-one. I can still do videos on it. It's just modified Ho'oponopono thing that we came up with, using that. Do I have one up here? So this is one of the main things that we use for that, is like the base word in the 72 names of God that we use with the newest oil, Harok, movement into the light. That's what I use on all the past trauma identities, to feel better, first glimmer of hope, to feel better regardless of circumstance. Like that, movement into the light. What are you moving into the light? You can move into the light all your old past trauma identities. You don't have to reintegrate those. I know that's what everybody says, but again, we live in a world where everybody learned from a website that learned from a website that learned from a website that learned from a YouTube channel that learned from a book. Not they did it and they were successful. You have to open the heart first. You have to fix yourself first. At least at least 50%. You might find some more stuff later, but you got to get that. You got to at least get the most people's heart chakras are just shut off. When you have enough traumas, when you have enough pain, when you've suffered enough, you shut off your heart to protect yourself. Someone punches you in the face 3 times, eventually you're gonna, block. And that's what people instinctively do. If it hurts too much, they instinctually, with their using their mind, because your mind controls everything, they close off their heart chakra to dull the pain. Okay, so you stop the pain in the moment. You also shut them on the other side of a door. And the only way that Sophia is going to be able to communicate you through her lower emanation of enlightened insight is through the mind, whispering thoughts of inspiration, guiding you, bumping you, things like that. But you're going to have to figure out, and you can get help. I mean, we've got formulas like, let's see, this one isn't wrapped yet, but the combination of stones that are in this one, and then like the combination of stones that are in this one, those ones are like Drano for the heart. That's like Roto-Rooter for the heart. And it's a colonoscopy for the heart. You got to get all that packed up heart pain, loosen it up and expel it. And expelling it can sometimes not be fun, depending on how much is in there. But you got to get it out. You got to purge. It's like when you're out drinking too much. You go out on Friday night, whatever you kids do. You drink too much. It's all fun at first. Then you start feeling sick, but you throw it all up and then you instantly feel better. Or you get a cold, you get a bug, you get a virus, and you feel nauseous. You throw up, you feel better. It's the same with the heart. It's the same with energy. It's the same with stuck emotional stuff. You got to purge it. It does not fade. It's not compost. It's one of the trickier parts of the game is like emotional energy imprints do not degrade. They don't die. They don't fade. They don't go away. You're just stacking them up. You got to transmute them or surrender them or any other method, but you have to do something on your own to get the door open. This is the door. You're not feeling her. You're not hearing her. You're not whatever. You got to open the door. You have to. You have to open the door in order for her to get out here. So keep that in mind, and look at it as a good thing because someone is able to clearly describe like what the actual issue is. Like when I talk to people or read their messages and stuff like that, she's talking in my ear. Like she's telling me exactly what's going on with them. But again, repetition, 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 because in my early days, it's kind of like with, revealing the secrets that are everywhere out in front of you. Like when she starts pulling off veils, it's like all of a sudden it's like, man, that's been right in front of my face the entire time. Why couldn't I see it? That's why we repeat things. But also keep in mind, like, you're here. That's another one we say all the time. Like, this is not a big channel. 1,500 subscribers ain't squat. This is a single grain of sand on a beach. And yet, here you are. Was that just blind, dumb luck? No, it wasn't blind dumb luck. That day, the video popped up in your feed the first time, and you're like, "Ooh, what is this? It's so shiny and neat." A guy with a monotonous voice that always wears black shirts. I just want to watch this all day. No, but something drew you to it. Who did it? Who was it? Who drew you to it? Who brought you here? She did. What is it, Jenks? I heard that too. She brought you here. So take your wins. See it. See it. Here's another thing she brought up. Now, normally speaking, and of course, depending on where you're at, might it, it might sound like a leap of faith or something like that. Because wouldn't this apply to everything? Mm, by their fruits you shall know them. This is an evidence-based, type of a channel. But what? How do you give power to things? One is attention. The other is believing in it. Now, if you believe in something that's actually real, that's going to help open the door too. It's not going to be just a blind projection of something that may not be real, like the twisted versions of things that they give you in religion or something like that. It's not correct, but you see evidence of it because you believe it. Well, here we've got something in which we are able to show evidence of through my stories, uh, the changes that I've made. I don't know, I only get like about a third of people that actually leave reviews on the store, but I think I got like 70 reviews. I don't know, like that. Like all these people talking about, oh, I got this stuff and I felt this and I felt this energy and felt like that's not just me at this point. Like there's evidence, there's other people. And I'm the one that's sitting here telling you it isn't me. I'm not a freaking X-Man. I'm not a mutant. I can't shoot laser beams out of my butt or anything like that. Like half the time, I don't even know how the hell I'm doing it. It's like asked me in the early days, how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know, but somehow I just know how. I know how, but I can't explain it because it's her. She's doing it. Evidence, evidence, evidence. So even if you have a hard time like believing it for yourself, you can just believe me. Believe my story because I show you evidence of it all the time. I mean, heck, that last video we did where we recapped the path, and I thought of some more things, but we don't have time for all that. But half that stuff that I was discovering at the time that it was happening, I didn't know anything about it. Like that last part with the Orphic egg, and like that's some deep cut stuff. I had no clue about that, but it was happening. Like these beings, these parts of this higher consciousness was actually interacting with me and behaving in a way that resonates with the basic image that it has out there under different names. I'm like, you can't make that up. So yeah, there's evidence. It's not just talk. We're not like I explain things differently. I'm not explaining things like a book. I'm being upfront and telling you like this is what my life is like with it. And if I can do that and I can show evidence in that I'm not just making videos, but I'm doing work and I'm creating, just the fact that I'm creating things that don't exist elsewhere kind of proves that I'm on the right side. Because only the good side can create things out of nothing. The bad side can only copy things. I create things all the time because it comes from her. So just believe me. If you believe me and you take note of the fact that you're here, And I could think of a few other people that like they want to deepen their connection to her and stuff like that. And it's like y'all can feel these energy pendants clearly. You can feel the freaking energy. You can come over here to my place, local people, and sit here and be overwhelmed by the energy that's emanating off of this freaking altar. You have all the evidence there that you should need, like way more so than anybody in church is getting. They're not hanging out with freaking angels or anything. They're just fussing over what a book tells them to think. You're seeing more than they are. You're feeling the energy. You feel the energy, or the second layer of feeling energy is you might not feel it buzzy. If you don't feel the buzziness of that type of energy, then you're probably more like me. You're probably like an output person, an energy pusher rather than an energy reader. So I think some people are like input people and some people are output people. And if you're an output person like me, I I I don't sometimes I got to hand my stuff to other people and see what they say. Like my neighbor the other day, or today, I was like, "Feel this new one." He's just like, "Whoa." But it's only like that for me if I like really bump it up to something new briefly, but I quickly adapt to that new level. And when you adapt to that new level, then it kind of like it feels like it went away, but it didn't go away. You just adapted to it. It became your new normal. It raised your vibration. So if you're like at a vibration level of 5 and someone gives you a pendant, which is a vibration level of 7, this is an arbitrary example. Like it's going to feel very high and buzzy to you, but it's also going to draw you up from a 5 to a 7. So once you match that resonant frequency, it's going to feel like it's not doing anything anymore. In which case, it's so simple. Like even newbies have been able to do it. You just hold it in your right hand and with intent, ask her to raise it up higher so you can keep growing. It's like, boop, you just felt it go up. Yeah, these things are controlled by your mind. You can turn them up, turn them down, turn them off, do all sorts of stuff with them. But there's evidence. You're seeing it. Lost my train of thought there. What I was talking about. What was I talking about, Jinx? Woman? Somebody? Yeah, here's some more stuff that she brought up. If you're one of those people that's really getting down about how things are, or not getting where, like, so sometimes you get to this point on the journey where it's just like you're carrying the world on your shoulders and you just like you just don't want to do it anymore. It's like I just don't care anymore. Just drop a mountain on me, like rain fire from the sky. Like I can't take it anymore. I'm just done. You feel all bad. I'm gonna tell you why that's a good thing. Yes, it's a good thing. What is happening, however she's making it work for you, that is your ego giving up. Remember, I said many times that she works like boot camp. She has to kill your ego. That's a part of the hero's journey, death and resurrection, being born again. The ego has to die, which means it could be through physical stuff, emotional stuff, trials and tribulations. However it is, it's getting beat up somehow until it wants to give up. So when you are moping around and you're like trying to be positive and all this stuff, what's most likely happening is your ego is giving up, which is great. You got to get that freaking thing off of you. And then once it's done, which sometimes we can, if you're ready, we can just try and send it into the light during that assisted process, and then you grow a new one. Like killing off your ego can, and there's no one way to do it. You use your imagination, you get creative, you try things. There was this one thing that I did, and the reason I like made it unlisted, I'm like, this is too like I don't know how many people are prepared for what might happen. So I was at the other place, and I had this idea come to me that I wanted to get rid of the ego that was mainly associated with the 6 years of suffering. I was going to basically lay it to rest, like funeral rites. I had this whole thing set up and to do it. And I like did it on Christmas Eve. I'm usually by myself on the holidays. So I did this whole thing, and I wrote it all down, and it had like a eulogy and everything. And then I burned the paper and I buried the ashes. And the next day was like there was this crazy ball of energy in my chest. And it's like, what is that? And then it finally let loose. And as soon as it let loose, half the lights in the apartment went out. And then they were going on and off sporadically. And I was having all these crazy poltergeist like electrical disturbances for a couple months. That's what ultimately got me out of that place, because that place had been curse targeted and all sorts of stuff. I was running my refrigerator with a AC power station. It was the the maintenance guys couldn't figure it out. It was crazy. I had something. It was partly past pain. It might have had something to do. There was indicators that I had something attached to me, because during that hero's journey, like you're like the White Knight fighting all the witches. Yeah, you get a lot of stuff lobbed at you, and some of them are pretty good at what they do. But whatever that was, it kind of had it had a gin feel to it. Gin are like a pain in the ass. Jinn are like demons that Jinn are like demons mixed with gremlins. They just break shit like constantly. But that was like that was attached to that ego, that time frame, and I purged it, and then I'm like, okay, now how do I handle this? This isn't in my handbook. Ultimately, she had to make it she let it run rampant, because what Sophia's goal was to get me out of that apartment. I had been in that apartment for the entire rough part of the hero's journey. So, and me being as psychic and energetically powerful as I am, like that apartment is still empty. I don't know if they'll ever rent it again. I think I broke that apartment. Like, you know how, kindergarten level ghost hunting shows, they talk about residual entities or residual hauntings or residual something. Yeah, I permeated that living space down to the atoms of the wood. So for me to really get a fresh start, she had to get me in another apartment. So she let whatever that thing was, she just let it run loose till it pretty much destroyed everything. And they had no choice but to let me move to a better apartment, because it would cost more to fix it. It was like that crazy. But that was tied to like old parts of me that got discarded. Like all that chaos. Um, like my cat even, Jinx. Like when we lived at the old apartment, she, I was like the only person that she would like let any pet her or anything like that. She didn't want let the kids pet her, nothing. And like she was like almost like possessed when we moved out of here. She was freaking out, acting crazy because I took her out of that apartment. Until I literally did a Benedict exorcism on my cat. And then she went back to acting normal again. And then once she got in here, she was like 500% more chill. Lets the kids pet her, all that's done, run away. So yeah, like that's how much we carry, so much energy and ungodly amounts of things with us. You just got to clear it out. You got to take action. You got to try things. You got to do things. Got to get help. If there's help available, use it. If you want them, you can never see Christ because he's getting the light shining on there. But if you want them, the heart has to be open, which means it's got to be cleared out. I'm telling you how it works. So there's no mystery to it. I mean, yeah, there's might be still things that you got to do, but it really comes down mechanically to if the heart is not open, you're not going to experience them beyond through the mental, intuitive guidance of Sophia. You're not going to feel them. And there's going to be limits to how much they can actually do. It'd be like signs, synchronicities, thoughts popping in your head, but it's a lot more pointed, like once the door is open. There was some other stuff I was just thinking about. Maybe we'll cover it later. Um, but yeah, don't be so focused on what you want or what you perceive to not have that you do not recognize what you already have gained. Like most of you that I talk to, people, customers and stuff like that, you're way ahead of the curve. Compared to the average person, you're way ahead of the curve. Way ahead of the curve. Consider that. Oh, I know what she was saying. Talk more. We said it in the other video. She's like, y'all need to be friends. You can help each other out, sharing your experiences in the comment section or whatever about, the stuff that I talk about and, what you experience with things, because the more people hear other people talking about it, other than just from me, it grows your faith, your trust, and your belief in it. And the more faith, trust, and belief you have in something, the more that it works. See, I have a method that is just hard for me to put into words because it sounds so freaking simple. It's almost too simple. It's like all this energy stuff. I'm not channeling Reiki from a star or anything like that. I'm just imagining, deciding, and believing, and knowing. Like I cultivate positive beliefs, and every time that I get feedback on things like that, I get to add another, card to the stack of proof. Like, oh, here's all the proof that I can do all this stuff really, really well. And then that just amplifies it. Amplifies it. Keep your proof, keep your own proof, and keep referring to it. Look at what everyone else is saying, because you still have that wiring for defer to consensus, which is the backup to defer to authority. So make it work for you. It's like if everybody's talking about their experiences and everyone else is seeing that, you're helping everybody else by reinforcing their beliefs. It's kind of like this vote tonight, this election thing. It's like it has to be this overwhelming, too big to rig sort of thing. If you're seeing my evidence and then everyone else is sharing their evidence, then it becomes this whole 30 people against one adversary saying like, oh, you can't do that, oh, that's not real. But there's 30 other people saying like, yeah, you can do that, yes, it is real. So that's why linking up, talking, being friends, sharing, talking more helps everybody. It's not stroking my ego or anything like that. It's helping everybody. It's helping everybody's beliefs. You're all making progress. She says you're all doing good. And even when you're having this, don't be hard on yourself if you're getting feeling negative about things from time to time, because honestly it's not you that's feeling it, it's the ego. Separating yourself from the ego is another one of the tricky things, because you can't learn about what these things are from books. And even if you did, you get 10 of us in a room and everybody's going to describe everything slightly differently because they're intangible things. There's no, you can't Google search an image of an ego or a soul or spirit. They're intangible things. So there's little variances in how we describe stuff. But yeah, well, we'll see what happens with the election tomorrow. I'm leaning toward Trump's going to win, but in that regards, it's because he's supposed to. It's all scripted. It's all scripted on a much, much higher level. So that's the last thing. We said it before, but it's a good ending point. Everyone wants to, especially the self-proclaimed Gnostics that try to dazzle me with their knowledge about the archons. Yeah, the archons are doing their thing, but who's making the archons do their thing? You know how many times in Nag Hammadi it talks about the archons doing dumb shit? And I'm paraphrasing here. And then the archons did dumb shit. But they did this dumb shit by the Father's will. There's a higher orchestration. So if there's a higher orchestration to the shenanigans that you see happening on the lower level, then understand that whatever is happening on the lower level, even if you do not understand it, is for your growth and your benefit. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on where you're going. Have you made a hardcore goal yet? Like I did this instinctually years ago. That's what led to this happening. But I just decided, like, I'm going to figure it out this time. And if I am trapped in here or something like that, I'm going to get out. See, your GPS navigation is worthless if you do not input a destination. Otherwise, you're just going to wander around in circles. You have to have a destination. You have to set a destination, and that destination should be to be able to return to the light successfully the way you were meant to. Okay, well, now that we have this destination set, calculating route. And she's going to guide you through the shortest and fastest route that there is. But if it's just like, oh, I want to connect to Sophia, or I want to talk to my lumen or whatever, like that's a part of somehow completing the game successfully. And there's different levels. You might not have to do what I did. I chose the hardest freaking level. But if you just make winning the game this time your goal, your destination, your internal guide, your Sophia GPS can give you the turn-by-turn instructions. Okay? So that's all we got for right now. If you want to get in touch with us, pick up any of our stuff. And I've got a couple options for, like, made for you type things that you can use. A lot of times you just talk to me and she will just make some sort of killer combination like that. This is the last guy. I got to ship this tomorrow. that use that liquid chrism core made for the individual. It always looks slightly different, but yeah, she puts those together and they come out looking so cool. So that's got a big celestial Tibetan quartz point down here, flanked by selenite and seraphonite, which is her stone, and then the liquid chrism core that's up here. That's got dambarite, petalite, selenite, apophyllite, morganite, um, clear azestulite, and then a rhodozite, which rhodozites are these little tiny crystals that look like crumbs on your kitchen floor almost, but they like boost the power of all the other stones. And those stones are within a liquid matrix of chrism water, which comes from the star card ritual. So you're combining all that. I mean, stuff she stuff she makes, like when it's somebody specific, because she knows how to do it. I don't know what they need, but she does. They just come out really freaking good. So if you can't figure out if none of the pre-made pendants that are currently available, there's more. Like, I don't know about this. Just trust her to make it for you. You'd be freaking shocked at what happens when we do it that way. Because she just knows. She's plugged into you. I'm not. And she just like kind of takes over and we build the thing. Okay, and then you can reach us if you're on Facebook. Want another method to contact us? There is our Facebook profile. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be back tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see where we are with this whole big pivotal point in the story. And I tell you what, if they pulled the crazy of the crazies, because it just doesn't matter at this point, just hypothetically speaking, let's say they did, because they got this like, we control everything, what are you going to do to us? If they declared Kamala Harris the winner, I think I would probably be equally excited about that, because that would tell me that everything else that she's shown me throughout this year about where this is headed is now definitely headed there. And I'm here for it. We got to get through a little period of chaos so I can go home, bring the chaos. Because what that would tell me, if somehow that happens, they're like, oh, it was a miracle, upset. She's going to be the next president of the United States. Then you know it's over. Everything everyone's been saying, like Elon Musk, it's like, yeah, we'll never have another election again. That's not Democrats. That tells us we've arrived. We've arrived. We have arrived at the finale. And then once you see that we're at the finale, where most of the normies are going to be freaking out about their lives because they're still anchored in their ego self, you, on the other hand, know that this is all preordained, pre-written. That's the Father's plan, which she is executing. So it's like, oh boy, here we go. We're almost there. So instead, we buckle down and we do this stuff harder. All right. That's all we got for right now. Chris and Lumen. See you next time. Oh, yeah. One other thing. It is almost 11 p.m. on November 5th. And it is 73 freaking degrees right now. Like, I'm debating on turning on my air conditioning. That is not just some weather fluke. Something is dramatically different. Like I told my friend earlier, my neighbor, it's like, how long you been in Ohio? I'm like, it's November 5th. It should look like Mordor out here right now. It should look like the sky in Ohio at this time of year is like the devil is like squatting above your head, spreading his cheeks, like, yeah, look at that. Like it's that ugly. It's that cold and dreary. It's in the 70s and it's freaking sunny. Still wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Something is definitely happening. So, and honestly, I'd rather have that than, the devil's butthole above my head. Like that weather pattern is not my favorite. So take your wins where you can get it. See you next time.